Jack O'Callahan from the 1980 USA Gold Medal Team. Jack, it's Zach Gelb here, WHIP Radio in Philadelphia. Thanks for taking a few minutes today, and how are you?
I'm doing great, Jack. Thanks for calling. I'm pretty excited about, the USA-Canada matchups, not just with the men, but also with the women. So in the next couple of days, we're going to know where we stand in the North American hockey world, that's for sure.
No doubt about that. And the USA hasn't won gold on the men's side in 34 years. Your team was the last one to do it as you guys beat the Soviets and then eventually went on to beat Finland. What does it say about the sport now that 34 years later, they got off a gold medal game back 4 years ago, and now they have a chance to get back to one coming up this weekend?
Well, USA hockey has always been strong. Even back in 1980 when we were playing, we always look back to the 1960 team that won gold, the 72 team that won silver, the 56 team, I think, that won silver, and then even the 76 Olympic team had a pretty good showing in Innsbruck. So we always knew USA hockey was strong, but it was much more regionalized back then. So I think our victory in 1980 blew the roof off it a little bit, and all of a sudden kids from, Texas and Florida and California and all over the country started playing hockey over the next many years, and I think we're seeing a result of that now, the growth of youth hockey in the country over the last 30 years, and it's almost, generational now. So you've got kids that started playing hockey in the 80s, and, they're having kids now, and their kids are, playing hockey and doing really well developmentally around the United States. So it's fantastic that that our victory 34 years ago had a piece of that, maybe, cracked the egg a little bit, and very exciting that the U.S., hockey programs, 2010 was a great team, silver medal, and where we are this year and how well the team's playing in Sochi is very exciting.
And 4 years ago, Patrick Kane was on that team, and now this team this year, they have their mind set on the ultimate prize, which would be a gold medal. As Patrick said, it's pretty much gold or bust, and they got knocked out by the Canadians 4 years ago, and Sidney Crosby scored in overtime to give them the win, and that was an exuberant game. Do you at all kind of get that feel that this could be a redemption game for some of those players 4 years ago as they get ready to take on the Canadians for the semifinals?
You could say that. I think even the woman, you go men and women. Last Olympics, the woman didn't. I think they didn't have a chance to play the Canadians, but they go back and forth. And the U.S. men's and Canadians go back and forth. So, yeah, Canada won it last time in 2010. Here we are again in the semifinals with the Battle of North America and in the Battle of Scandinavia. So it's really exciting. It's the Olympics are so full of intensity and so full of nationalist feelings and all this that and it's a 60-minute hockey game. Everything's wrapped up in it, so they're going to be great hockey games. It's going to be really, really exciting. Obviously, I'm rooting for the U.S. like everybody else in our country. I hope they win everything and win a gold medal, and I'll be as excited as anyone. But it's just going to be great hockey games. They can go either way, and I think for the U.S., they just want to show up and play their best game and not leave anything, in the locker room, so to speak. Just go out there and let it rip and let the cards fall. And I think win or lose, they should be happy with if they can come out and bring that type of effort.
And the team this year, they're a fun group to watch. They're gritty. They fight all the way to the end. We've seen today, at the end of that first period, they get the 2-goal lead when they score and put one ahead with 1.8 seconds left. And the defensemen have really impressed me. Suter and McDonough, these guys just never come off the ice. And, they're always fighting to the end, these guys.
Well, the U.S. As a country, we're gritty. We're a gritty, resilient culture, And it's the same with our hockey program and our hockey teams. And the other thing is these guys, many of these kids, Ryan Suter, Zach Parise, and maybe the little bit of an older guys, you could say they're closing on 30. And then you got the younger guys, like, say, Shattenkirk and Patrick Kane and those guys that are, like, in their earlier 20s. But they've known each other, whether they've played together in youth hockey areas growing up or USA development programs or in colleges and other World Cups or different types of USA hockey environments. So I think they've been able to come together very quickly here as a team, and you're really seeing that in the way they're playing. I remember when I spoke to these guys before they went to Vancouver, and I was very clear. I said, look, teams win championships, players don't. Okay, I think we saw that with the Soviets, the Russians the way they performed in Sochi. They were out there playing like 20 individuals. They didn't really have that team cohesive concept, and they paid for it. Then was lost to, and even Canadians today have so much trouble with Latvia. Okay, Latvia is out there playing as a team. I think the U.S., more than any of the top tier teams over there, really have cohesiveness as a unit. They know each other. They're playing well together, and I think that gives them a little bit of an edge against Canada. Although Canada, U.S. is just the emotion of the game, and just everything is going to be wrapped around that game. I think it's going to help motivate Canada as well. That's why I think that it could be one for the ages. This next game between the U.S. and Canada.
Jack O'Callahan from the 1980 USA team joins us, won a gold medal. And Jack, you're right. The USA, they are a team, and they play very close together. But when you played back in the Olympics, you guys got more time to develop that chemistry. And I feel like your team was always on edge a little bit more, and you always had that feeling with Herb Brooks that you could possibly be cut. The Olympics have changed over the year. How important was team chemistry back when you played in the 1980s? And I feel like it was a little bit more easier to develop it just because the way it was formatted back then.
Well, again, back then, I graduated from college in 1979 and was selected on the Olympic team, in the summer of '79, and then with that team played 52 games or something, or 55 games from September through the end of January of 1980, September '79 through January. We played 50 games. Lived together, traveled together, ate together, drank together, fought with each other. But over the course of that 6 or 7 month period, we really developed team chemistry, and by the time we got to Lake Placid, we were sort of a well-honed unit, where like Herbie said it, they said in the movie. I mean, Herb did say, the name on the front of your jersey is a lot more important than the name on your back, and that's how we played. And my point about the U.S. team this year is that even though these NHL guys are coming together, they play on different teams back home, but when they go over there, they kind of throw them together. They got, a week or so to come together as a team. I think these U.S. guys have the benefit of having played together, previously in their lives, growing up together on various USA hockey development teams, whatever. So I think that ramp up to becoming more of the team unit it can happen. It has happened very quickly, and we're seeing that in the way they're performing in Sochi. They seem to me to be a very close-knit team, and that's going to work well for them.
I wasn't alive in 1980 when you guys won the gold medal, but I've watched a ton of film on Herb Brooks throughout the years. We had a Ruzioni on last week. We had some of his Minnesota players on, like a Joe Micheletti in the past, to talk about him. If you had to describe Herb Brooks for me, when you walked in and you first met him, and then how the impact he's had on your life, how would you describe him?
Well, going back to when I first met Herb, I just want to keep my distance and sort of just let my behavior and my attitude sort of speak for itself. I had no interest in getting to know him or becoming his friend. He had no interest in getting to know me, maybe, or becoming my friend. We didn't talk much as I first met him. It was in a world tournament in the spring of '79. Throughout the Olympic year, I got to know him a little bit better. But again, he was the coach. I was the player. I wanted to be judged by what I did on the ice, maybe what I did off the ice as well. So that was it. And to Herb's credit, I think he was able to keep it separate. I don't think he played favorites. I think he was straightforward, honest guy. Treated me like a young man as opposed to a kid. Held me accountable to, like I said, my behavior, my attitude, my abilities, and my effort. And I learned that from him, I learned to respect that. I didn't have to get to know him. I didn't have to be his best friend, but, it was, I could always trust him to be fair, honest, and straightforward with me. And that's something pretty good to have in a relationship with someone who's your superior. They're going to be straight, honest, and, no baloney behind the scenes. A good guy to work for.
You guys were an enormous underdog going up against the Soviets, and Herb did a sensational coaching job, and you had a lot of leaders on that team on the ice. Take me through the locker room about 10 to 15 minutes before you played the Soviets to eventually move on and beat Finland. What was going through most of the guys' head in the locker room, and what was Coach's message?
Well, I think a lot of it with Herb was, again, we played 55 games, and we were together for those 6 or 7 months, and he did most of his work then, as far as training us, teaching us, holding us accountable, putting our feet to the fire, keep raising the bar, pushing us harder and harder. And frankly, by the time we got to Lake Placid, by the time the rosters were actually finalized, Herb's job was for the most part done. In Lake Placid, he didn't have to do much. He had done all the work. And when we started rolling through the Olympics, he was a bench coach at that time. Did a good job on the bench, working the lines and staying on top of things. Just kind of managing the momentum that we had going, handling all the nonsense that was going on off the ice, the press and everything. And by the time we got around to the Russian game, we'd already played 5 games at Lake Placid. We had 5 pretty intense games. We had 2 weeks of Olympic hockey kind of under our belts. We were 2 weeks removed from getting thrashed in New York by the Soviets. So here we are playing them again. And you know what? That locker room in the preparation leading up to that game was very, very quiet. Very quiet. No rah-rah stuff. Very workmanlike, very businesslike, very introspective, and very quiet. And even Herb, when he came in and spoke, he wasn't speaking to a bunch of rah-rah guys and, hooting it up. We were just sitting there listening, and he spoke heart to heart to us, and it was meaningful, and it meant something, but we all knew the task that was at hand, and so we went out there, like I said, with a very business-like kind of focused approach to that game.
We're talking to Jack O'Callahan, and Jack, you mentioned that first Soviet game in Madison Square Garden in New York, and you guys lost by a big count in that game. What did you learn, though, from that game up against the Soviets? And do you believe that first game at all helped you for the second time when you went up against them?
Well, yeah. The first part of your question is, what was it like? I guess, we kind of learned that they could kill us, and that was it. I mean, they were a great hockey team, and we went out there, and we had seen them play, and we had watched them play the National Hockey League, and we knew the names, Karlamov and Makarov and Mikhailov and Fedosov and Trachak. I mean, we knew the whole lineup, and we had never played against them, but here we are on the ice against them, and we were just awestruck, really awestruck. And it was Madison Square Garden. It was kind of a maddening kind of place, and there's a lot of protests going on. The Russians had invaded Afghanistan, and there were hostages in Iran, and there was a lot of political stuff going on. And here we are in New York City, and Carter had canceled the summer games, and so there's just all kinds of stuff going on. We were already up in Lake Placid. We had to go from Lake Placid down to New York City to play the game, and get into the city and get out. There's just a lot going on off the ice, and then on the ice, we're playing these guys that we just idolize. So we kind of got smoked, and that was it. So, when we went to Lake Placid, we realized, as hard as we worked and everything we had done this whole year behind us, we just went and played this team that could have beaten us 15-0. So maybe we're not that good, or maybe we're not as good as we think, or who knows. I think we all have to do a little introspection and settle down a little bit and realize that, we just got to go out and take it sort of, it's sort of something that hockey players and athletes say all the time, but, we just got to take it just sort of step by step, and sort of get into the Sweden game and, go out there and just start playing, just start playing hard, respecting the opponent, but not being in awe of them. And if we lose, we lose. But let's just go out and play our best every shift, and let's see where it takes us. And over the course of two weeks of doing that, against Sweden and against the Czechs and against the Norwegians and the Romanians and the West Germans, and then all of a sudden now we got a shot at the Soviets again. Well, we weren't really in awe of them anymore. We're seeing them around the village, you're seeing them walking around, and Herbie was doing a great job humanizing them. whatever, saying things about them, laughing about this or laughing about that. So the second time we played them in Lake Placid, after playing in New York City, I mean, we definitely, it was a hockey game. It was our team against them. It wasn't like our team out there, watching them. It was our team out there playing them. So it was a different perspective for sure.
And the win meant so much to the United States of America. Then you eventually go on to beat Finland and win gold. And there was so much pride here in the nation and fans chanting USA. And in the movie they show fans are writing you letters. And I know that back then the players didn't speak to the media. It was only Coach Brooks. So how long did it take you to realize what you guys actually accomplished and how much it did mean to the nation that was undergoing a bunch of hostage situations and a whole lot of political problems?
Well, we're in Lake Placid, so the only news we're getting really was like two-day-old New York Post or local Lake Placid newspapers, and there was no cable TV, no ESPN, none of that stuff, no HBO. There wasn't, CNBC and CNN, none of that. It was just ABC, NBC, CBS, and then UHF channel. So, we didn't know what was going on. I mean, Lake Placid was a lot of fun, and everybody was having a blast there, but it was a small town, and we started getting a lot of telegrams of people all over the country, and that was exciting, that everybody was paying attention. We knew it was pretty exciting. I mean, the people in Lake Placid were going crazy. I think we really kind of hit us when after we won the gold medal, we beat the Soviets, and then we beat Finland, and then President Carter invited us to go to lunch on Monday, which is the day, instead of us flying home from Lake Placid, he sent two, Air Force One jets to, I think it was Plattsburgh.
Not bad treatment.
No, well, it was great. And he didn't just, he wanted us to come, and he took the whole, he sent two planes to take the entire Olympic team. So, the bobsledders and the skiers and the hockey guys and everybody. So it was really cool. We took buses down to this airport up there, and there's these two U.S., United States of America jets sitting out there in the tarmac, and there were thousands and thousands of people waiting for us at the airport, and they were out of their mind. And I mean, they were just having so much fun. It was cold, and they were going crazy. And we get off the bus, and we're all wearing our we'd been away for 2 weeks, so we're all still in our Olympic stuff, we'll get our gold medals on, walking around, and it was just great. And then we get on the planes, and I remember Bobby Suter and I. We get on the plane first, and we sat up towards the front of the plane, where they had sort of a little meeting area, like a table and two really big captain's chairs on one side and big captain's chairs on the other side. And so Suits and I get on the plane, and I'm like, hey, let's sit here. So we sit down there, and then these people are coming on the plane, and Bobby and I are sitting there right at the front. People are walking by, and then I'll never forget Kristen Cooper and Vicky, Vicky Fleckenstein. They're both skiers, ski girls, They're both they saw us and they knew we were hockey players. They said, hey, mind if we sit with you guys? And we're like, yeah, absolutely. So I remember Bobby and I talking about it. It was like this, we know things have changed just because actually, female athletes are actually starting to talk to us because prior to winning a gold medal. And I'm sure Kristen and Vicky don't have no memory of this, but I have a clear memory of it. And the funny thing is, prior to us winning, that medal, we'd go to these sports festivals or what have you in Colorado Springs, and we're out there as hockey players. And we'd be walking down the street, say 5 or 6, people would cross the street rather than come near us. They had this perspective of us. So we were these maniacs, So we couldn't get anyone to talk to us. And after we won that gold medal, all of a sudden we just got more hockey players got more popular. It was really cool.
On the way out here with Jack O'Callahan from the 1980 USA Gold Medal team, Zach Gelb here with you, WHIP Radio in Philadelphia. After the Soviet game, you still had one more to win, and that was Finland. How tough was the practice the next day? Because I'm sure Herb Brooks would never let you guys lose focus, as the ultimate goal was to eventually win the gold medal once you beat the Soviets.
Yeah, it was a very intense practice, and that's, I think, when, Herbie kind of threw out after practice how he was afraid of us losing our focus. We had just played 6 games, and we were the underdogs. And now we just beat the Russians, so maybe now we're the favorites, right? So, and now maybe the Finns can use that underdog card, right? So Herbie was aware of that. We weren't. I don't think it would have mattered. But being the coach that he is, and he knew the work wasn't done. So on that Saturday he wasn't talking to anybody. He had the mean face on. He had a case of the snarls, and we came to the rink and he's like just head down, grinding it out, and got us on the ice and put us through the paces pretty hard. And I think afterwards in the locker room was when he came in, and I think Arizioni alluded to what he said in one of those HBO documentaries where, Herbie said, if you lose this game, you'll take it, to your grave. So he was giving us the message that, the work wasn't done, and Finland was a good team, and we better make sure that we get our heads out of our butt and, stop patting ourselves in the back and finish the job. So as it turned out against Finland, even after the second period, I think we were down 2-1. And, to Herb's credit, the best 20 minutes of hockey we played in 8 months of being together was the last 20 minutes that we were ever together. That third period against Finland, watch tape of it, and they barely get the puck out of their end. And, we came out, we were down a goal, we had 20 minutes to play to win a gold medal, and, it gives me chills just thinking about it. How hard we came out in that third period and how we just blew the doors off the Finns. And we won that gold medal running away. And it was a great third period. It was a great way to finish.
Well, Jack, you were absolutely tremendous today. We appreciate a few minutes, and I hope you enjoy the hockey on the men's and women's side coming up this weekend. Let's see some gold medals, and thanks for a few minutes, my friend.
Okay, all right, good. And say hello to all my friends in Philly. I've got a bunch of them, and play some golf with these guys down in South Carolina. So for anyone that's listening, see you down south. See you soon. Let's go USA.
Where do you get your cheesesteak from?
I'm not a cheesesteak guy.
Come on.
No, you know what? I don't even know. 56 years old, you got to watch the cholesterol now. You know the story. You'll learn one of these days, Zach, when you get a little older.
Well, Jack, we appreciate it. Thanks so much, my friend.
All right, man. Thanks. See ya.